placed a camera in his daughter's coffin, he uncovered a dark secret that changed everything. Stay tuned for the shocking truth. What would you do if the answers you sought about your child's death lay buried 6 feet underground? For one father, uncovering the truth meant taking an unimaginable step, and what he discovered changed everything. Marcus Johnson lived for his daughter Layla. Their modest home was filled with her artwork, her laughter, and the unmistakable warmth of their close bond. From breakfast routines where Layla teased Marcus about his dad jokes to quiet evenings drawing together on the couch, every moment with her was a reminder of the light she brought to his life. But that week, something felt different. An unease Marcus couldn't name, but one that would soon shatter their perfect world. The call came in the late afternoon, shattering the quiet of Marcus's day. "There's been an accident," the voice on the other end said. At the hospital, the doctor's words felt distant. "She fell from the jungle gym. It was instant." But as Marcus stood over Layla's pale, lifeless body, he noticed bruises on her arms, marks that hadn't been mentioned, and then there was the dirt, caked under her fingernails, too fresh to ignore. Driven by grief and a gnawing sense of wrongness, Marcus made a decision no father should ever have to make. He installed a hidden camera in her coffin, desperate for answers no one else seemed willing to find. At first, the screen showed nothing but darkness. Marcus sat hunched over his desk, his eyes locked on the grainy footage, telling himself he was being paranoid. But as midnight struck, something flickered. A shadow, faint but deliberate. He leaned closer, his heart pounding. Then came the sound, a low rhythmic scraping, too deliberate to dismiss. He rewound the footage, his fingers trembling. The shadows appeared again, accompanied by muffled whispers. "Quick, they'll never know." Marcus's chest tightened. The bruises, the dirt. This was no accident. Fueled by grief and anger, he took the footage to the authorities, only to be met with skepticism and indifference. "Grief can cloud judgment," the officer said, brushing him off. But Marcus knew what he'd seen, and he wasn't about to give up. Marcus stormed into the funeral home, clutching the flash drive like a lifeline. The director met him with a thin, practiced smile, his hands steepled on the desk. "Mr. Johnson, I've already explained—" "Explain this!" Marcus interrupted, slamming the drive down. His voice trembled, but his resolve didn't. "The bruises, the dirt, and now this footage. I know what you did." The director's smile faded, replaced by a cold, calculating stare. "These are serious accusations, Mr. Johnson," he said, his tone icy. "You should think carefully before proceeding." But Marcus wouldn't back down. "I'm not scared of you," he said, his voice cracking under the weight of his grief and rage. "You desecrated my daughter, and I'll make sure everyone knows." The threats began almost immediately. Anonymous calls, spray-painted warnings on his garage door. But Marcus pressed on, working with a young journalist to uncover damning records of malpractice and corruption. When they found evidence linking the funeral home to rushed, incomplete preparations and falsified documents, Marcus knew he finally had them cornered. But the fight wasn't over, yet. The courtroom fell silent as the verdict was read. Guilty. Marcus sat frozen, his hands gripping the edge of the bench as the weight of it all finally hit him. The funeral home director and his staff were held accountable, facing criminal charges and hefty fines. The funeral home was shuttered, and new regulations were introduced to prevent similar abuses. But as Marcus stood by Layla's grave later that week, the victory felt hollow. "I did it, baby," he whispered, his hand resting on the cold stone. "I made them see you." A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, and for a moment he felt her presence, her warmth, her laughter, her light. Determined to turn his pain into purpose, Marcus launched the Layla Johnson Foundation, advocating for accountability in funeral services and supporting grieving families. The foundation grew quickly, touching lives far beyond what Marcus could have imagined. In his living room, he framed one of Layla's drawings, the two of them standing under a tree, her words scrawled at the bottom, "Always together, Dad." It became a daily reminder of her spirit, guiding him in his fight for justice and dignity. Though the ache of her loss would never fade, Marcus knew her memory would live on, not just in his heart, but in the changes he had fought to make. And in that, he found a measure of peace. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, like and subscribe for more inspiring videos.